In 3, 2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, it's Tuesday the 9th of August and it's National Book Lovers Day. And a big happy birthday to Anna Kendrick, Gillian Anderson, Lisa Nandy and Kevin McKidd. A new campaign's been launched to fight the cost of living crisis, backed by politicians and several high-profile union reps, including Mick Lynch.
People are fed up with the way they're treated at work. We need to turn that mood into real organisation on behalf of the working class.
Enough is enough.
According to Downing Street, however, Boris Johnson has no plans to intervene in the cost of living crisis or introduce any new measures to help. Former PM Gordon Brown had been hoping he'd convene the government's emergency COBRA committee. He's called for drastic action, including windfall taxes on big energy companies, and said it was ridiculous that senior ministers were on holiday at a time of a national emergency.
There's no doubt that people are going to go without food and they're going to go hungry and cold in October if we don't take action now.
As the race for PM continues, Rishi Sunak's pledging to scrap VAT if he wins, while Liz Truss wants to cut taxes. Tory MP Brandon Lewis is backing frontrunner Liz and says she too wants an emergency budget.
Liz Truss wants to get taxes down quickly to help people with more money in their pocket, but to do so also in a way that does create future, not just jobs, but energy security for our country.
The World Bank's handing Ukraine another $4.5 billion in aid to help the government maintain essential functions. The US is also donating a further $1 billion in military assistance, including arms and munitions. It comes as Finland considers halting visas to Russian tourists who pass through as they travel on to their holiday destinations, and the proposal has already prompted Moscow to threaten a very negative reaction. Meanwhile, attacks on Europe's largest nuclear plant in Zaporizhzhia in southern eastern Ukraine are continuing, with accusations flying between Ukraine and Russia about who was responsible. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres demanded that inspectors from the International Nuclear Watchdog were allowed in.
Any attack to a nuclear plant is a suicidal thing, and I hope that those attacks will end. And at the same time, I hope that the IAEA will be able to have access to the plant and to exercise its mandate competencies.
More than 600 children were subjected to strip searches by the Met Police without an appropriate adult over a space of 2 years. Scotland Yard stats show mostly black boys were targeted between 2018 and 2020. The police watchdog's concerned, but the force has toughened up the rules and says an inspector must give authority for every search. The Children's Commissioner, Dame Rachel D'Souza, asked for the figures after the case of a 15-year-old who was searched while on her period, wrongly suspected of carrying drugs. She says safeguarding children has to be the priority.
I want to see change. Sorry isn't good enough. Now, the Met have made some changes, but 50% of those 600 strip searches, no further action was taken. That raises the question for me about whether they were actually proportionate and should have been undertaken.
After 3 days of fighting, a ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian militants appears to be holding. US President Joe Biden welcomed the news and called for a swift resolution to the conflict. More than 40 Palestinians have been killed, including 15 children, in what Israeli forces are calling preemptive strikes. Palestinian group Islamic Jihad had threatened to seek revenge for the arrest of one of its leaders. It's a smaller armed group compared to Hamas, which controls Gaza. Mikhaimer Abu Sada is an associate professor of political science there and says Hamas has stayed out of the conflict, but Israel will intensify its bombing of Palestinian civilians and infrastructure if it joins the fight.
Last year, Israel waged a war for about 11 days, which inflicted massive destruction on the civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Birmingham wraps up the Commonwealth Games and tributes to musical legend Olivia Newton-John. Right after this. Welcome back. Beverly Knight, Dex's Midnight Runners and UB40 were among the artists who took to the stage at the Alexander Stadium to mark the end of the Commonwealth Games after an 11-day sporting spectacular. But they saved the best till last with a surprise performance from one of Birmingham's most famous sons, Ozzy Osbourne. England celebrated their best ever medal haul, winning 176 and finishing second overall, narrowly behind Australia. Scotland came 6th and Wales were 8th, with Northern Ireland finishing in 11th. And off the back of the successful games, the leader of Birmingham City Council told the BBC he wants to host more major events.
I think having delivered the Commonwealth Games on a shortened time frame, which city in this country could deliver the Eurovision Song Contest on a shortened time frame? It's got to be Birmingham, hasn't it?
Love Island 2022 officially came to an end after a reunion show on Sunday night which saw winners Ekin-Su and David lip-sync to One Direction. Of course they did. Runner-up Luca later told Good Morning Britain he's yet to meet Gemma's dad, former footballer Michael Owen, who stayed pretty quiet throughout their Love Island experience. The pair also revealed what it was really like in the villa.
The days as it went on, it got a little bit repetitive, you know, it's the same every day. So when it was like a challenge or something like that, it was...
I think for 6 weeks it was probably the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Really? I enjoyed it every day. I enjoyed the banter. I enjoyed waking up with loads of people in the bedroom.
Olivia Newton-John has died aged 73. The British-Australian actress and singer had been battling cancer for decades. She had an extraordinary career both as an actress in the iconic movie Grease, as one of the biggest recording artists of the 70s and 80s, and as a 4-time Grammy Award winner. She was born in Cambridge, England, but her family moved to Australia when she was 6. Her husband, John Easterling, posted news of her passing and said, "Olivia's been a symbol of triumph and hope for over 30 years, sharing her journey with breast cancer. She was first diagnosed in 1992 and had battled through remission and recurrence. She spoke to CBS News back in 2019 about her diagnosis and her determination to keep living her life. Rest in peace, Olivia."
It's a decision, how you choose to feel about something. So I've chosen that path. I'm happy. I'm lucky, I'm grateful, I have much to live for, and I intend to keep on doing it.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.